Fixtures allow you to preload a database with data, which gives your tests something to work with so they don't have to create everything from scratch. Now at the beginning, when your site is just starting out, it seems like a good idea. But as your site grows, your models become more complex, relationships start interweaving, and you have a lot of tests which rely on the same fixtures data set. It just becomes a nightmare to maintain. Every time you want to add a test, you change the fixtures a little bit, then you break previous tests with those fixtures, and it just becomes really difficult. Your tests become very brittle, and they rely very heavily on the fixtures themselves. And not only that, but the test methods aren't very self-descriptive. Here, for example, we have a cart model which we're testing, and we're testing the total weight method for this cart. So we're grabbing a cart from a fixture and saying total weight on it. And we're saying that total weight must be 10. Now we're not giving any reasons in this test why it should be 10. If this test breaks, then we have to go digging around in the fixtures to figure out why. And in fact, this test relies on 4 different fixtures, and so we have to kind of spiral down into these different fixtures and worry about how they're related, and it can become a nightmare. So I'm going to show you how in this episode how you can resolve these issues. So let's go to our cart model, which has that total weight method inside of it. As you can see, a cart has many line items, and the total weight method just takes all the line items, adds up the weight. So the weight method is inside of our line item model. So a line item belongs to a cart and also belongs to a product, so that's pretty normal. But then we also have it belong to a delivery method, so that's a little bit different. What this does is allows the user to select a delivery method, either shipping or download, for each item in their cart. And so, to get the weight, we only want to calculate the weight of the items which are for shipping. So our delivery method sees if it's, our line item weight method sees if it's shipping delivery. Then if it is, it takes the weight of the product and multiplies it by the quantity of the line items. If it's not for shipping, if it's for download, it just returns 0 for the weight, so it's not considered part of the weight of the cart. So that's how that weight method works for that line item. And that's what I'm going to get into testing first. So I have a line item test model unit test here, which just tests that weight method. And as you can see here again, it is using fixtures. It just checks if one book for download product line item is the weight of 0, and a game for shipping is a weight of 10. So that again relies heavily on the fixtures, and if we had changed the fixtures, it could easily break this test, and we don't want that brittleness in our tests. We want it to be strong and hard, difficult to break. So let's rewrite these tests and not use fixtures at all. So we could do that with, let's say, test. The line item should have 0 for weight when not shipping. So we need to start off with the line item. And for that line item, we need to tell this line item to not have the shipping delivery method. So we need to build a delivery method for this line item, which we can use with build delivery method. And that is given to us through the belongs to association in the line item model. And we need to tell it the shipping attribute is false for that delivery method. So we're basically telling this line item to not have shipping. And then we also need to test this line item for 0 weight. Alright, let's go to our auto test that's running in the background here, and you can see that the test passed without error. So we successfully resolved this test, did the same thing as that test without the use of fixtures by just building all the models dynamically in here. And this has a benefit of the test is completely self-contained. It's not relying on anything external, so you don't have to dig around if the test breaks. You can see right here that the shipping is set to false for that line item, so it should be 0 weight. So we also need to test if the shipping is true. So it should have weight of product times quantity when shipping. So we need to build another line item, basically kind of repeat the code here. And this line item needs a quantity, so we have something to work with. Let's say quantity 3, and build another delivery method for this line item. This time set it to true, the shipping method to true. And then we also need to build a product. And we want to have a weight for this product of 5. So we're building all this in memory, so it's not even going to hit the database at all. So that's another advantage to doing this approach. So now our weight should be 15 for that line item. Let's save that and check our auto test again. And that passes as well. So we successfully worked on did these tests without the use of fixtures, which makes them much more stronger and better. Okay, now on to testing the cart itself, the total weight method that we had before. And this is a little bit trickier because this relies on even more models, because first it starts off with a cart. So if we wanted to repeat what we did before with the line item, we first have to create a cart, then we have to create the line items for that cart, then we have to create the delivery methods for each line item and the product for each line item, and that can become a lot of setup code, which you generally want to avoid. You don't want much setup code. One way to avoid that is to use stubbing, which will allow us to override the weight method in the line item model so that it returns a static value instead of worrying about interpreting the weight based off of the delivery method and the product. So let's use stubbing for this. To do that, we first need to install the Mocha gem, which is a really great gem for stubbing and mocking. So just do gem install Mocha and to get that installed. And then you need to include it in your test helper. So you just do a require Mocha in your test helper. And then you just, and that will give you several methods for performing stubbing on the models and any other object, in fact. So let's start off with the cart model. Let me rename this just so it's a little bit more meaningful. Total weight should be sum of line item weights. Okay. So start off with the cart model, and then we want to build a line item of this on this cart model. So line items.build, which is provided by the has many association on that cart model. And we don't need to give any attributes to this. In fact, we just want to stub the weight method. So we can do that with stubs, which is provided by the Mocha framework. We want to stub the weight method and then have it return that's a static value, so it could be anything we want. Oops. And let's create another line item that returns 3 as a weight. So now we have 2 line items in the cart, and the total weight should equal 10. And that's all you need to do. You don't have to worry about the delivery methods or the product models, because that's all hidden away behind the weight method for that line item, and that's stubbed out, so you don't have to worry about that. In fact, let's remove the fixtures here as well. So going back here to auto test, you can see that the test is passing as well. So that's a couple techniques on removing the fixtures on the tests when you're testing the model layer. There's only 1 week left on the RailsCasts contest. If you participate, you get a chance to win one of the fabulous prizes. You can find out more information at railscast.com/contest. Now remember, this is ending 1 week from now, so make sure to get your submissions in before July 27th, which is next Friday.